Do you feel it? That persistent weight, the quiet hum of discontent, or perhaps the sharp sting of recent pain. It's a common human experience, this suffering. It can feel like an unwelcome shadow, dimming even the brightest days. You might wonder why it clings so tightly, why peace feels so elusive. You are not alone in this feeling, this searching. It's a discomfort that whispers of something lost, something vital that has slipped from your grasp. You might be striving, pushing, fighting against the currents of life, only to find yourself more exhausted, more entangled. This struggle, this suffering, often has roots deeper than the immediate circumstance, connected to a fundamental understanding we've misplaced. The title of our journey today points to this. You're suffering because you forgot this truth. This isn't about blame, but about illumination. It suggests that the key to easing your burden isn't necessarily changing the world around you, but rediscovering a powerful truth within you, a truth championed by a wise philosopher of old. That philosopher is Seneca, a Stoic master who lived nearly 2,000 years ago. His world was one of emperors and empires, of great turmoil and profound change. Yet, his insights into the human condition, into the nature of suffering and resilience, resonate with an almost startling clarity even now, in our modern complexities. Seneca taught that much of our anguish doesn't come from the events themselves, but from the stories we tell ourselves about them, the judgments we attach. This is the cornerstone of the forgotten truth we seek to uncover. Imagine, for a moment, that the source of your relief is closer than you think. What if the truth you've forgotten is that external events by themselves are neutral? A storm is just a storm. A delay is just a delay. It is our interpretation, our internal narrative that paints them as terrible, unfair, or ruinous. This is where our power and often our pain truly begins. Consider a challenging situation you're facing. Is it the situation itself that causes all your distress, or is it your thoughts about it? Your fears about the future, your regrets about the past, your frustration with the present moment? Seneca would gently guide us to see this crucial distinction. This forgotten truth is about reclaiming your inner sovereignty. It's the understanding that while you cannot always control what happens to you, you always have a measure of control over how you respond. This is not a passive acceptance of misery, but an active engagement with your own mind. Suffering often amplifies when we believe we are helpless victims of circumstance. But Seneca reminds us that our faculty of judgment, our ability to choose our perspective, is a fortress that no external force can breach unless we allow it. This inner citadel is your inviolable sanctuary. So the first step in remembering this truth is to observe your suffering. When you feel that familiar ache of anxiety, frustration, or sadness, pause. Ask yourself, is this coming directly from the event or from my interpretation of the event? This simple question can begin to loosen the chains. Seneca's wisdom isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about understanding their origin. He knew that life inevitably brings hardship, illness, loss, disappointment. The Stoic path isn't about becoming unfeeling, but about becoming unshakable in the face of these inevitabilities by mastering our inner responses. The forgotten truth is that you are the alchemist of your own experience. You have the power to transform the lead of raw, difficult events into the gold of wisdom, resilience, and even peace by carefully choosing the lens through which you view them. This is an incredible, often untapped human capacity. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality, Seneca wrote. Think about how much of your anxiety stems from what-ifs, scenarios that haven't happened and may never happen. This is the mind projecting fears, creating suffering from shadows. This truth invites you to become a discerning gatekeeper of your thoughts. Not every thought that enters your mind deserves to be believed or acted upon, especially those thoughts that tell you you're not strong enough, that the situation is hopeless, or that your peace is entirely dependent on external outcomes. So the problem isn't just the suffering itself, but our unawareness of our own role in perpetuating it. By forgetting our ability to choose our internal response, we inadvertently give external events an overwhelming power over our emotional state. We forget where our true strength lies. Let's delve deeper into this core distinction. Events versus judgments. An event, you lose your job. A judgment, this is a catastrophe, my life is over. The event is a fact. The judgment is a story, a painful one, but one that you have the power to revise. Seneca would say, "It is not things that disturb us, but our opinions of things." This is perhaps the most crucial aspect of the forgotten truth. Your opinion, your judgment, is the filter through which all of life passes, and you, ultimately, are in charge of that filter. Imagine someone speaks rudely to you. The rudeness is their action. Your suffering might come from thoughts like, "They don't respect me," or "I must have done something to deserve this." These are interpretations, not inherent truths of the situation. You can choose not to internalize their negativity. This isn't about pretending things don't hurt or aren't difficult. It's about understanding precisely what is hurting. Is it the external event itself in its raw form? Or is it the added layer of your own negative narrative, your fears, your catastrophizing thoughts? The forgotten truth empowers you to separate fact from fiction. The fiction your mind sometimes creates. A missed opportunity is a fact. "I'll never get another chance" is a fiction, a self-limiting belief that amplifies suffering. Recognize these fictions for what they are. This perspective doesn't mean you won't feel sadness or grief when facing loss. Those are natural human emotions. But it means you don't have to add layers of self-blame, despair about the future, or a sense of permanent victimhood on top of that initial, natural pain. Think of your mind as a garden. External events are like the weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy. You can't always control the weather, but you can control what you plant in your garden, how you tend to it, and whether you allow weeds of negative judgment to take root and choke the life from it. When you forget this truth, you essentially give the remote control of your emotions to external circumstances or other people. "I'll be happy when," or "I can't be calm unless." This is outsourcing your well-being. Seneca urges us to take back that control. The power lies in the pause, the moment between an event happening and your reaction to it. In that pause, you have a choice. You can choose to react automatically, based on old patterns and unexamined judgments, or you can choose to respond thoughtfully, aligned with this forgotten truth. Remembering this truth is like finding a hidden lever that shifts the entire landscape of your inner world. Suddenly, problems that seemed insurmountable might appear manageable. Pain that felt all-consuming might lessen its grip. This is the practical magic of applied philosophy. This isn't easy. It takes practice, like strengthening a muscle. Your mind is accustomed to certain patterns of thought, but with consistent effort, you can retrain it to default to more constructive, less suffering-inducing interpretations of life's challenges. Every small shift counts. One of Seneca's key exercises was to mentally prepare for adversity. Not to dwell on negativity, but to acknowledge that difficulties are a part of life. By doing so, when they arrive, they are less shocking, and our judgments about them are less severe because we have already considered them. The forgotten truth whispers, "You are more resilient than you think." When you stop defining your well-being solely by what happens outside of you, you tap into an inner wellspring of strength that you might not have known existed. This strength comes from your chosen response. So when suffering arises, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What is this situation asking of me? How can I respond with wisdom and courage?" This shifts you from a passive victim to an active participant in your own life story. This internal shift is the essence of the forgotten truth. It's not about denying reality, but about mastering your relationship to reality. It's about finding your freedom not in a perfect world, but in a perfected response to an imperfect world. This is the path Seneca illuminates. Now let's explore the profound power of your perception. How you see things literally shapes your experience of them. If you expect the worst, you'll often find it, because your mind will filter reality to confirm your bias, amplifying suffering. The story you tell yourself about an event is critical. Two people can experience the exact same event, say, a public speaking mishap. One might tell themselves, "I'm a failure, I can never show my face again." This story creates immense suffering. Another person experiencing the same mishap might tell themselves, "That was embarrassing, but it's a learning experience. I'll prepare differently next time." This story, while acknowledging the difficulty, opens the door to growth rather than prolonged agony. The event was the same, the perception differed. Seneca understood that our minds are powerful storytellers. The forgotten truth is that you are the author of your internal narrative. You can choose to write a tale of woe and victimhood, or you can choose to write one of resilience, learning, and quiet strength. This doesn't mean glossing over reality with false positivity. It means honestly assessing the facts of a situation, and then consciously choosing the most constructive and empowering interpretation available. It's about finding the useful truth, not just the painful one. We often suffer because we desperately try to control things that are, by their very nature, uncontrollable, other people's opinions, the stock market, the weather, the past. This struggle for control over the uncontrollable is a primary source of frustration and anxiety. The forgotten truth reminds us to redirect that energy. Instead of battling the external storm, focus on reinforcing your inner shelter. Your perceptions, your judgments, your choices. These are the realms where your true power and influence lie. When you change your perception, you change your emotional state. If you see a challenge as an insurmountable barrier, you will feel defeated. If you see it as an opportunity to test your strength or learn something new, you will feel engaged, perhaps even invigorated. Ask yourself, how else could I view this situation? Is there a perspective that would cause me less suffering and offer more wisdom? This conscious questioning of your initial perception is a powerful tool for reclaiming your peace. This is not about self-deception. It's about self-direction. It's about choosing to focus on the aspects of a situation that empower you rather than those that diminish you. It's an active, conscious process of framing your reality. By forgetting this truth about perception, we become passive recipients of whatever reality, our unexamined thoughts present to us. We react rather than respond. Remembering it means taking the helm of your mind, steering it towards more tranquil waters. Consider how children can find joy in the simplest things. A cardboard box becomes a castle, a puddle becomes an ocean. They are masters of perception. As adults, we can relearn to bring a similar imaginative flexibility to how we interpret our more complex challenges. The world outside rarely conforms perfectly to our desires. Suffering arises when there's a gap between our expectations and reality, and we judge that gap as bad. What if we could adjust our expectations and perceptions, rather than endlessly trying to bend reality? Your suffering is not a direct measure of how bad things are, but often a measure of how you are perceiving how bad things are. This realization doesn't minimize your pain, but it relocates the power to change it from the external world back to your own mind. This truth about the power of perception, championed by Seneca, isn't a quick fix, but a lifelong practice. It's about cultivating a mindful awareness of your thoughts and actively choosing those that serve your peace and resilience. This is your inherent ability. So what exactly can you control? This is where the forgotten truth gains immense practical power. Seneca is very clear. You control your thoughts, your judgments, your desires, your aversions, and your actions. Essentially, your inner world and your responses. You cannot control if someone insults you, but you can control whether you believe that insult, whether you let it define you, whether you retaliate in kind, or whether you choose to respond with dignity or even indifference. That choice is entirely yours. You cannot control a sudden illness, but you can control how you face it with despair and bitterness, or with courage and a focus on what you can still do and appreciate. Your attitude, your will, your internal disposition remain within your dominion. This is the discipline of assent in Stoicism, choosing what you give your mental agreement to. Don't just passively accept every impression or fear that pops into your head. Examine it. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it within your control? Your actions are within your control. You might not be able to guarantee the outcome of your actions because that often depends on external factors. But your intention, your effort, the integrity with which you act, these are yours to command. Focus on process, not just outcome. When you pour your energy into what you can control, your preparation, your effort, your mindset, you detach from the anxiety of uncontrollable results. This is where peace can be found, even amidst uncertainty. Your character is also within your control. You can choose to cultivate virtues like courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom. These become your inner compass, guiding your actions and responses regardless of external storms. Building your character is a lifelong, controllable project. When you feel overwhelmed, bring your attention back to this simple question. What, in this exact moment, is within my power to influence or change? Often, it's simply your next thought, your next breath, or your immediate response. Start there. Forgetting this distinction leads to wasted energy, frustration, and a sense of powerlessness. We try to change things we can't, while neglecting the very things we can. Remembering it channels your energy effectively towards what truly matters and what you can truly shape. This doesn't mean indifference to the world. It means understanding where your leverage point is. Your greatest leverage is always on yourself, your inner state, your chosen actions. From a place of inner clarity and strength, you can then engage with the world more effectively. The forgotten truth is that your freedom is not dependent on external conditions being perfect. Your freedom lies in your ability to choose your response to those conditions, whatever they may be. This is an internal freedom that can never be taken away. Your judgments are key. If you judge something external as bad and essential for your happiness, its absence will cause suffering. If you judge your own virtuous response as the highest good, then external events lose their ultimate power over your peace. This focus on internal control is not selfish. In fact, by cultivating your own inner peace and resilience, you become a more stable, positive presence for others. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Tending to your own mind is a prerequisite for genuine service. So take stock of where your mental energy is going. Is it consumed by worrying about things outside your control? Gently redirect it. Focus on your next thought, your next small action, your immediate choice. This is where your true agency resides. Remembering what you control is like finding the reins of a chariot that you thought was runaway. With these reins firmly in hand, your thoughts, judgments, and actions, you can navigate life's terrain with greater skill, purpose, and significantly less distress. Complementary to focusing on what you can control is the wisdom of accepting what you cannot. This is often the harder part of the forgotten truth, yet it is essential for peace. So much suffering comes from resisting the unchangeable. You cannot control past events. Reliving them with regret, wishing they were different, only prolongs suffering in the present. Acceptance means acknowledging what happened, learning from it if possible, and then letting it go, allowing yourself to move forward. You cannot ultimately control other people's choices, feelings, or actions. Trying to force them to be who you want them to be or to act as you wish is a recipe for frustration for everyone. Accept their autonomy as you value your own. Fortune, fate, luck, these external factors will always play a role in life. Some things happen that are truly outside anyone's direct control. Fighting against these acts of God or twists of fate is like shouting at the wind. It achieves nothing but exhaustion. Acceptance is not resignation or apathy. It's a clear-eyed recognition of reality. It's saying, this is how things are right now. From that point of acceptance, You can then decide how to respond constructively, using the power you do have over your inner world. Seneca often spoke of amor fati, loving your fate, not in a masochistic way, but as a radical acceptance of all that life brings, the good and the bad, as part of your unique path. To wish for it to be different is to wish you were not you, living your life. When you resist what is, you create immense internal friction and tension. It's like trying to swim against a powerful current. Acceptance is like turning around and flowing with the current, conserving your energy for navigating, rather than fighting. This doesn't mean you shouldn't strive to improve things you can influence. But for those fundamental realities beyond your control, the laws of nature, the passage of time, the ultimate uncertainty of life, acceptance is the gateway to tranquility. Think of the serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. This perfectly encapsulates the forgotten truth Seneca championed. The wisdom to know the difference is key. When you truly accept what you cannot control, a great burden lifts. The energy previously spent in resistance, worry, and frustration is freed up. This newfound energy can be channeled into productive action, joy, or simply being present. Practice noticing when you're arguing with reality. This shouldn't be happening. It's not fair. These are signs of non-acceptance. Gently guide your mind back. It is happening. Now, how do I choose to meet it? Acceptance is an act of profound self-compassion. It's acknowledging that life can be hard, and you don't need to make it harder by battling unchangeable truths. It's allowing yourself to find peace even when circumstances aren't ideal. The universe is vast and complex, and many of its workings are beyond our comprehension or command. Humility in the face of this, coupled with a focus on our own sphere of influence, is a hallmark of wisdom and a path away from much self-inflicted suffering. This forgotten truth, to accept what you cannot control, is not a sign of weakness, but of immense strength. It takes courage to face reality as it is, without demanding it conform to your wishes. This courage brings a deep and abiding calm. By embracing both sides of this Stoic coin, focusing on what you control and accepting what you don't, you unlock a powerful formula for resilience and contentment, a truth that Seneca knew could free us from so much unnecessary pain. So how do we bring this forgotten truth into our daily lives? It begins with mindful awareness. Start noticing your thoughts and judgments as they arise, without immediately buying into them. Observe them like clouds passing in the sky of your mind. Practice the pause. When something challenging happens, before you react impulsively, take a breath. Create a small space. In that space, ask, is this within my control? What is the wisest way to respond here? This conscious pause is transformative. Engage in negative visualization, as Seneca suggested, but with a twist. Briefly consider what could go wrong, not to dwell in fear, but to appreciate what you have now, and to mentally prepare for resilience if challenges do arise. This reduces shock and prepares a calm response. Keep a journal. Write down challenging events and, more importantly, your judgments about them. Then consciously reframe those judgments. Ask, is there another way to see this? A more empowering way? This practice rewires your thought patterns over time. Each morning, you might remind yourself of this forgotten truth. Today, I will encounter busybodies, ingratitude, arrogance. They act this way because they are ignorant of good and evil. But I know what is good, and I will focus on my own virtuous actions and responses. When you feel distress, ask yourself, what am I telling myself about this situation? And then, is this story 100% true and helpful? Often, you'll find your suffering is linked to a narrative that you have the power to change, to soften, to make more compassionate. Remember, this is a practice, not a perfect state to be achieved overnight. Be patient with yourself. Some days will be easier than others. The key is the gentle, persistent effort to recall this truth and apply it moment by moment. That is where the transformation lies. The relief that comes from truly internalizing this truth is profound. It's the difference between being tossed by every wave and learning to navigate your ship with skill and inner calm, regardless of the weather. You become the captain of your soul. You are suffering, perhaps, because you forgot your own power, the power to choose your response, to shape your inner world, to find peace not by changing the world, but by changing your relationship to it. This truth has always been within you, waiting to be remembered. This wisdom from Seneca is not just ancient philosophy. It's a practical guide to a more serene and resilient life. The forgotten truth is that your greatest freedom, your deepest peace, is found in the skillful management of your own mind. Carry this with you. So the truth you may have forgotten is this: suffering often arises not from life's events but from your judgments about them. You have the power to choose your response, to focus on what is within your control, and to accept what is not. This is your path to inner peace. Embrace this truth not as a burden of constant vigilance, but as a liberating insight. It means you are not a helpless cork tossed on the ocean of fate. You are the navigator, equipped with the timeless wisdom to steer towards tranquility, even amidst life's inevitable storms. Let this understanding settle within you. The world will continue to present its challenges, its joys, its sorrows. But now, you hold a key, the knowledge that your ultimate well-being is an inside job, a testament to the enduring power of your own mind and spirit. As you move forward from this moment, carry this question with you. How can I meet this experience, this thought, this feeling, with the wisdom of what I can and cannot control? Let that question be your gentle guide, your reminder of the truth that sets you free. You are not defined by your suffering, but by your capacity to meet it with wisdom and grace. The truth was never truly lost, only waiting for your attention. May you find increasing peace and strength as you remember and live by it, day by day.